Hello, friends. What up, y'all? You're listening to the Angel Face Magic Hour. I'm your host, Grace Lannon. I'm a psychic medium and an energy healer, and I'm excited. Today's going to be a pretty casual episode. We're going to answer some of your questions, and we're going to do a little energy update. What's been going on? How are we feeling? What's the energy? And then I'm going to do some readings at the end. I'm excited. So what's up? I have two beverages going. So get yourself comfy and cozy. And we're just going to hang out and I'm going to answer some of your questions. I'm excited. This is an iced latte. It's Friday night. If you're listening to this in real time, it's April 14th. So 2023. So we are in the spring season. A lot has been going on. I personally have been feeling many things at the same time. And I think that's the hardest feeling to experience sometimes because it's almost confusing. Like I've been experiencing a big uptick in physical pain personally. But I've also been experiencing some beautiful, really exciting, emotional experiences in my career and with readings and stuff like that, that everything has been really beautiful. But at the same time, I'm experiencing this extreme discomfort, which is something I'm used to. And unfortunately, and I'm just learning how to navigate my experience and to accommodate things for my body and to learn how to take care of my body better. So the last maybe year and a half, I've been doing all of these personal challenges, all like 75 hard kind of things, where I have been doing daily walks. I've been reading. I've been self-caring up the ass. And recently, maybe last week, I got a reading from Dana, who's been on the podcast. And I had the pleasure of getting a reading from her, and it really confirmed to me that I was just pushing myself a little bit too hard in terms of feeling like I had to do 30 things every single day to take care of myself. And so that was really helpful, among many other really cool things that came up in the reading. But I think that's been a theme that's been going on for people. It's like this all or nothing kind of experience of I am either going to take perfect care of myself or I'm not going to take care or pay attention to myself at all. And I think that's a really dangerous mindset. And that's a mindset that I have been in most of my life. And a lot of people I know can identify. But now I'm learning that, and the reading with Dana helped me kind of parse this out for myself. But I'm learning that the small little consistencies that I've created for myself allow for the space for change and shift to occur. So I think the important guiding light in that for others is we are becoming rooted and grounded more and more so as things in our external world, within our bodies, within society, within our daily life, within relationships, become more chaotic. We are becoming more grounded in our experience because we have to, in order to enjoy our experience, we have to be present in the moment. Because there's always something to be like scared about. And that's another thing that we're kind of diving into personally in my healing and with here, you guys on the podcast, is facing our fears of learning how to identify the root cause of these fears. Where do they come from? How are they connected? And we have to, I think, get more comfortable with being uncomfortable, because in order for change to really occur within ourselves, within the greater world, we have to like sculpt it. So we have to create it out of nothing. And that can be uncomfortable. I'm just like thinking of like a body building, like Nikki, who's been on the podcast. Like you really have to put in that work if you're wanting to see shifts in such extreme ways. So if we want to see the extreme change and overhaul of the world around us, which I'm sure a lot of us do, because there's a lot of things that need shifting, we need to get comfortable with shifting ourselves first. And also, like the idea keeps coming up with like, it's okay to be wrong sometimes. You don't have to be right about everything, and it's not about being correct. What's right is not necessarily what's correct, if you know what I'm saying. So that's kind of a theme that's been going up. And then for me, along with the podcast, I feel like I've been kind of like back and forth with putting out the episodes, and I feel I don't know what was kind of like swimming through my head about it, because I have a whole backlog of episodes to air. I just haven't like had the bandwidth to go through with it, because the things that I share, I feel so how do I explain this? I feel so deeply, I guess, about them. It's like that I don't want to just half-ass it and put it out and like not put out the effort to share it in a way that feels like supportive to it, and not that it just exists online. Like I want people to know it's there, and I want to share about it. I want to share. And I feel like I've been still somewhat hiding myself. So the fear series is going to be really powerful for me, and I already feel it. The fear of success was the first meditation I put out, if you guys want to listen to that, in my fear series. But I've been doing that the last couple nights, and it's been really interesting. So part of the meditation, if you guys haven't done it yet, is kind of identifying where these fears, if they were to be physical, where would it be located in your body? And for me, the fear is like right, I don't mean, you guys can't see my whole body, but so I'll just describe it to you. But right underneath my rib cage, almost in a diamond shape, upside down diamond. Like from underneath my rib cage to right above my belly button. So solar plexus kind of area. That's where the fear of success lives for me. And so I've been melting it away with this meditation, and I've been working on that personally for the last maybe 3 years. So now I feel like it's interesting that I'm finally putting out the meditation. And I feel like when I finally release the meditation is when I finally am able to release that fear. So I think it's going to be a very interesting transformative experience for me to share these meditations with you guys. So let me know how they go for you. But I think perfectionism always comes up for me, and I know that is something that it's kind of an energy I feel like that's been floating around since maybe last month, of just why put effort if it can't be perfect. And I don't think that's a healthy mindset. So that's something that, I'm working on releasing, and I am just sending the energy and the support to whoever might identify with that too. Because the fear of success, I think, links back down to that perfectionism. What else was I saying? Today I was responding to a comment on my Instagram about the fear of success idea, and I was saying it's for me, it feels very much connected to like fear of overload. Like if I'm successful, I have too many things on my plate. And I feel like that's just the old idea of success is like abundance in a way that is like overflow, in a way that is unnecessary. Like I want the overflow in my life where things feel easy, and I want that for everyone I know and everyone I love, where things feel simple and easy and we don't have to be worried about the next day, you know? But I think when there's so much overflow, it feels like a flood. And so that's, I think, what the success fear symbolizes for me is that flood. Like, I don't want to be flooded. I want it to come at its own pace. But then I also am impatient. I want it all to rush in, and that feels good and exciting, but that's not sustainable. So that's kind of something that I want people to think about is like how to reframe the idea of overflow not being like a flood, imagining it like there's somewhere for it to go. There's always somewhere for it to go. Like if there's overflow, imagine it was in your garden or something that had some system set up for the overflow of rain, and then it ended up watering all your plants, and your plants got sustained with life and water and love at the same time that you did. So that's kind of like the energy that I want us all to focus on is as we heal ourselves, the overflow of love heals everything around us. And that's what Reiki is all about. Every time that you bring in Reiki to another, you're also healing yourself. And an excess of that overflows into the world. And if we're all focusing on that, that makes greater impacts. And I know that sounds like, so, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you're not like hating on that, but it sounds so like, oh, let us just love the world and everything will be fine. No, of course, like there are like real things, actionable steps that we must participate in. But that simple gesture of loving yourself is like a journey in itself. But what I was going to say is that simple act of loving yourself is revolutionary, as a lot of people have said throughout history. That is the revolution, is the love, unconditional love. And like, what would it feel like to accept that? Like accept it into your heart. That's the hardest thing for me. And I've been talking about that for months. Is like learning how to accept and receive. And that's so much connected to the success thing as well. Of like, what are we scared of? What about success feels scary to you? So something that I've been doing recently is like, I don't know how to explain this, but kind of like a reversal of my thoughts, I guess, as how I would explain it. So if I am frustrated about something, I will like speak into that frustration, I guess. And when I like acknowledge that it's true, then I can release it and I don't need to hold on to it. So, like, to give an example, say, like, I mean, this is like a stupid example, but these are the kind of things I get frustrated with. Like, say I like come home and there's like a bunch of dishes in my sink and I'm annoyed about it. Like, I will acknowledge the fact that I'm annoyed about it instead of doing the idea that a lot of people have within spirituality, which is like moving your thoughts up to an elevated state. I will be annoyed. I'll give into that irritation and I will move it through my body, and then I'll just deal with it. And then I can release it. So that's not revolutionary, but it is. Like, it's not different. It's not like no one's ever said that. But that is such a huge, I think, change that we can all have, but that I have been experiencing, because it's like, I feel like we have been shown that whether that's through childhood shit or societal shit, or within the spiritual practices like community or whatever, but this idea that we have to like rise above our feelings and bypass our feelings and only connect with the love. Yeah, that is what we're doing by acknowledging that we are annoyed in the moment, is we're connecting with that love, because we're showing ourselves grace, but we're showing ourselves that it's human to have emotions, and to push everything away to only this idea of high vibe is not only delusional, but it's also not love. Like, if something horrible was happening to someone you cared about, you would acknowledge that pain that they're experiencing, and that's how you show your love. So I think it's the same thing for ourselves, but we don't I think, like, the thing that I've been seeing and experiencing and acknowledging is the difference between acknowledging the pain, the experience, the annoyance, whatever the emotion that's low vibes, quote unquote, that I'm experiencing, rather than like wallowing in that experience. Like, I want it to move through my body. That's the thing that's different from what I was doing before, is moving it, experiencing it to move it through, rather than just sitting in it. I don't know if I'm explaining this very clearly, but if this makes sense to you, let me know. But that's kind of what I've been feeling lately. So we're going to go into some questions. And before that, I just wanted to share that I was on someone else's podcast recently, and just talking about some of my more cosmic alien experiences and some of my UFO experiences. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll put a link in the show notes. The podcast is called Typical Skeptic, and it's hosted by this guy Robert, and he has all sorts of different like mediums and channelers and UFO experiencers, and some weirdos, some cool, it reminds me of like his whole influence, and it reminds me of it very much as like Art Bell, of just kind of like letting people share about their experiences. And so I got the pleasure to be on his podcast, and that was really cool. So I put the link in the show notes if you guys want to listen. And I'm going to be going back and doing some live readings on there later this month. So that's pretty exciting, putting myself out there and sharing more of my experiences. And yeah, these are some of my more weird out there woo-woo type of things. So if you guys want to go real wacky with it, you can listen to that interview with me. And I talk about like light codes and art, and healing intuitive art and UFOs and stuff like that. So very exciting. But let's get into your questions. So I'm going to pull up some of the questions people sent on socials, and then we'll go into our readings. And if you guys ever, as you probably know, but if you ever want to book a personal reading and we want to go in depth, you can always go to the link in the show notes. And I don't think people know this, because hardly ever do I see it come through my system. But I do have a coupon code if you've never gone a session with me before for podcast listeners. And I'll also put it on YouTube so you guys can access that and you get 15% off first time reading or healing session or anything like that. So if you want to go in depth, we could do it. So sorry, bear with me. I'm looking for the question. I have far too many pictures on my phone. Okay. So, question number 1. What is your favorite tool for intuitive development? Beautiful question. And for me, it's so hard to answer because I have so many tools and I love them all. And I feel like they all help different people for different reasons. And they help different like parts of our intuition. So like a claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, sentience, the different senses. And yeah, if you want to go super in depth into development and all my tools in my tool bag, I have Spirit School, and that's finally going to be a self-study program pretty soon that I've been working on for literal years. So there's lots of tools in that. But if I were to sum it up, like personally, right now in this moment of time, April 2023, what my favorite tool for intuitive development is probably movement. Like I go on a daily walk every single day. We're getting close to 1 year of doing it every single day. And that has been a huge activation in my intuitive development personally, just having that time for nothing and that time in nature. And that's also including like my yoga practice and my dance practice. Like when I can drop into my body, that's the biggest tool for me right now to connect with my intuition, because for me, I'm really trying to learn how to trust my body. I've developed a lot in my psychicness and my ability to channel and talk to spirits and all that, but I want to learn to trust my body. So that has been the most important tool for me in this moment. And then I would say the tool that opened me up the most in my journey was Reiki, was energy healing. That was like my gateway drug, as they say, to psychic work, to mediumship. So I encourage people, if they're wanting to develop their intuition, because we all have it, it's just a natural part of our existence. And then there's the different aspects of it, like I mentioned, our different elements of our bodies and our energy body and our mind and our brain and all that. And I break that all down in Spirit School, so I could talk about that for literally 6 months. But if people want to just dive their toes or like dip their toes in, as I say, I would find some kind of energetic movement practice. So that could be qigong, yoga, dance, something where you're dropping into breath work and breathing at the same time that you're moving, because I really feel like it allows for the intuition to speak louder in that moment when you're connecting with your body, with your mind, your heart, and your spirit all at once. I feel like when we're just beginning, diving into a silent meditation practice is very daunting, because we're just like thinking 3,000 things at once. And it's very intimidating. And oftentimes people just fall asleep too. That was kind of me for like the first long time. I just fall asleep listening to meditations. And that's something I hear from people a lot. So I think having an active meditation movement practice is going to be the biggest support for you as you're just getting into it. So, you know, I really like Qigong and Tai Chi and things like that because it has a system and a flow. Same with yoga. But just finding something that is easy for your body. Yoga, if you're gonna just get into, you've never ever gone to a yoga class before, I would do some research about the different kinds of yoga just to see like what would be appropriate for you and your body and like your strength. But just like doing some good old gentle yoga flow on YouTube just to get started, to have a place in your day where it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes of just that connection time, that's going to really help. And then, of course, journaling. I love a journaling moment. And I think that really allows us to hear our voice more clearly. And any activity that you probably did in high school English is probably going to be helpful. Like, do you guys remember doing stream of consciousness writing in high school English? That's like channeling. That's like an intuitive thing. So anything that is like connecting with your creative practice, your creative power, like that's your intuition. And then I also like to give myself little tests. So that's something that's more, I guess, second level. Like once you've started to hear yourself more, like giving yourself like tests or confirmations. So like, for example, this is one that I feel like I might talk about in my class, I can't remember, but like a really simple one is driving like to a destination that you go to all the time. So say you're driving to work and you look at the clock right before you leave and you just guess in your head, how long is it going to take to get there? You probably know like precisely what time it's going to be if you're driving there every time. I mean, every day at the same time. But just guessing to yourself, okay, it's going to be 8:11 a.m. when I get there. And then checking the clock and see if you're right. So you're getting the confirmation from something that's pretty much you already know the answer to. And that's going to build the trust muscle for yourself. So when you can begin to ask questions that you don't know the answer to, you can feel in your body what it feels like when the answer is yes, or like when you know the answer. You know what it feels like when you know the answer. And then you get that confirmation. It's going to help you again, build the trust muscle. Intuition's all about building the trust muscle. Intuition it's faith. It's knowing that you know what you know, even if you don't get that confirmation. But as you build your practice, whether that's just like connecting with yourself or, you're a medium or spiritual healer or whatever, you will receive more and more confirmation from things outside of you, because it's going to show you that it's okay to trust yourself. So that's what kind of synchronicities are, is like the confirmations for ourselves that we're going the right direction. And the other day, a very cool little synchronicity, I was driving with my friend Kylie, and we were just hanging out and driving in this pretty like wealthy neighborhood. So there's backyards and stuff, but it's not like rural or anything. And we saw a big giant peacock on the side of the road. And for me, peacocks is a sign that I've communicated with my spirit guides to show me when I'm in the right direction, when I'm going in the right direction. So I ask of them, I've said to them, like, if I'm going in the right direction, show me a peacock. I have other signs I've probably talked about on the podcast endlessly about my cranes and my peacock experiences, but it was a confirmation for me because I was just hanging out with my friend Kylie and having fun. There was nothing we were doing. We were just chilling, listening to music, cruising, like smoking weed, like having a little laugh. And that's something that I need to do more, is have fun and just enjoy myself, because my work is so deep. And then I do all my personal work. And then I'm also doing like facials and, emotionally helping people through a lot with everything I do. So I just need to have some fun. So the peacock showed up for me as that confirmation of like, you're having fun right now. Like, you are in the right direction. Like, you're just having fun with your friend. And sometimes that's what we really need, is just like a moment to lull and laugh. And I think that's something we need to remember in times like these, like, because I'm sure a lot of people have noticed how chaotic it's been. I mean, forever in all of society, but just the last couple of years, and it's always ramps up anytime the election's coming up in the US. But like it's in times like these, we feel like we can't enjoy anything. Like, we need to just be like fighting. But we have to enjoy life in order to have this sustained energy. This is like a reiteration of what we were talking about earlier, but have the sustained energy to move forward, to keep going. Yeah, so that's the first question. Do you still offer coaching? That's more of a logistical question, but yes, I do. And if you want to apply to be a coaching client of mine, so coaching with me is like, it's everything I do. So we do psychic work, we do emotional healing, we do personal development, whatever you're wanting to focus on. It could be more focused on psychic development, intuitive development, or more like your personal healing and your personal life. But we do all sorts of stuff. So it's, if you want to learn more about it, there's more information on my website, and you can apply. You just have to send me an email, and there's a form. I'll put a link in the show notes. That'll make it easy. But there's a form on the website for you to apply. And basically what I do is I do packages. So we meet for a certain number of weeks, and we can meet once a week, or we can meet every other week. And then, it's on Zoom. We record the sessions. You have access to all of that. And then you can, hit me up, call. Well, you don't got my number because I'm not very good at responding on my cell phone, but you will have my email, and you'll be able to contact me at any time if you have questions in between the sessions. And, we do all sorts of stuff. So if you want to learn more about that, you can hit me up, email me, or apply. And yeah, I have time in my schedule starting in May, like at last week of April, end of May, to take on more coaching clients. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do that, I'd love to see you. And then also, yeah, when can you see me? When can I see you for a facial? Thank you for asking these more logistical questions. All this information is great. And we'll get into some more specific questions in a second. But yeah, I do offer facials. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm probably not gonna edit that out. God bless me. But I offer facials, like holistic healing kind of facials. I'm into all sorts of facial massage. That's my favorite thing. Lymphatic drainage. I'm obsessed, and it's so powerful. At Bliss Organic Taste Spa, I'll put the link in the show notes if people want to come find me. If you're in Northern California, if you're local to me, I'm in Sebastopol, California. But I work there a few days a week. I work there Saturday through Tuesday. And I also offer in-person Reiki sessions there. I started doing that recently. I haven't really shared much about that, but if you want to see me for a healing session, you can also find me there. But people can just book on their website, or you can call the spa and ask to book Grace Lamon, and that's how it happens. So thank you for asking. Can't wait to listen. Thank you. I appreciate. Do you see spirit on people? Do you see spirits on people? Not, I don't know how to explain that. Give me a second to gather my thoughts. Kind of, but not really. Like, I have seen people who have attachments, quote unquote. But usually it's like a spirit's just like hanging out and like lingering around you. And sometimes those are negative, quote unquote. Like, and what I mean by that is like they're draining you, like they don't need to be around, like they might be like sad or lost or confused, and they're just like hanging on to your energy and like utilizing your energy. And then sometimes, spirits will be around people, not necessarily on them, but that's all the time. Like they'll be around people, like your loved ones, your ancestors. Like they don't necessarily hang out all the time, but they will come and hang out and be around people, especially for readings. Like I'll see them around, and your guides. I see it kind of like almost like right behind you, or almost like a oval shape of energies, or like a trail of energies behind people. I have seen entities, I guess, like on people, but that is more, I guess, like almost like a bug kind of thing, like a parasite, like things are just like leeching on you. And that could be for a variety of reasons. I don't see that like all the time or anything. It's not like everyone has that. I wouldn't be like worried about it, but I have seen that. And I have had people have like, one of my friends, we did a session and she had like a spirit body form. So not a physical form, but I don't know how to explain this, you guys, but a spirit body form of someone that she knew, like latching onto her shoulder, and it was causing like pain in her shoulder, and it was like almost like they were dragging her down. And they didn't know they were doing this. Like they didn't even have like a relationship at that point. Like they were friends, and had been close at one point, but like that energetic form had like connected to her somehow. And her story is like more complicated, like their souls and their past lives and all this stuff was intertwined. So it's not so simple. But for me, like with my psychic sight, it's growing more because it's been something that I've been working on actively. But it's like layers, like I'll look into the layers of someone. And it's kind of like what I'm doing on the aura readings. If you guys listen to those episodes, like if I were to see a spirit around someone, it would be on a certain layer, like your human form. But there's also like our aura and our energy, and those are more the thing. Those are more the layers that I see. The attachments on is more an energy layer. Very rarely would I see it in a physical layer where it's actually causing physical harm. Like if someone, like you see on a ghost show or something where people get scratches on their arms, like something like that. But that's not something I come across all the time personally. So let's see. And then Suzanne asked what my favorite candy is, which I love. That's just a fun little question. And sour candy's my favorite. I did 40 days no candy for Lent. You guys, I'm not Catholic or anything, but I love to do Lent. I don't know why. I love discipline in some aspects, but then I can't get myself to do it in other ways. It's very contradictory. just like we talked about at the beginning of the episode. But so for a minute I wasn't doing candy. I was proud of that. But my favorite candy is sour candy. And right now I really like Smart Sweets. I've been on them for the last few years because they're like less sugar, and I just have a sugar problem and my teeth are all jacked, and I'm drinking coffee with sugar in it. And um if people knew me at any point during like growing up, you knew I was obsessed with Jolly Ranchers, and I love high chews, like those Japanese candies. For some reason, I called them condom candies as a kid because the wrapper like reminded me of a condom. I didn't know what a condom was or did, or I don't know why I called them that. But when I was a little kid, there was this Japanese like grocery store by my house called, I think it was called Harajuku. Anyway, it was really cute, and I would go there after school and I'd buy high chews and I'd buy Pocky. I don't know if it's Pocky or Pocky. I always feel like I say it wrong. But those little sticks, they're like a cookie stick with a chocolate top. And I would buy rice balls. I have a rice ball obsession. Um, but anyway, so my favorite candies are Smart Sweets because they have like less sugar, but they really still taste super good. To me, I'm sure some people have different opinions, but I always call them the poopy candy because they have a bunch of fiber in them. So don't eat like 5 bags of that. That's a bad idea. But I also love those candies that are like the strawberry hard candies that like grandmas have that have like the gooey center. Oh my gosh. I love those. But yeah, I love candy, even though candy doesn't love me because my teeth. I'm working on healing my teeth. That's a big deal for me right now. I have been using all sorts of stuff. I bought this one little kids toothpaste because it has like a watermelon flavor, and I really like it because sometimes in the morning the mint is like off-putting to me. And so I've been using that and it's been really enjoyable. And I also got this cinnamon mouthwash. There's this place called Good Earth in Fairfax, California, which is like Marin County, and that's where I go to my Stargate meditation classes once a month. And so every time I go down, I go to this store, Good Earth, because they're like old school, like they're like how Whole Foods kind of used to be, like just still very expensive, but like and unnecessarily so, but like organic everything and all that, and it has just this very nostalgic smell. My dad used to work for Whole Foods for like my whole life, and so that smell is like nostalgic of my childhood. But I always get these juices there. But the last time I was there, I bought this mouthwash, and it's a cinnamon, and it's so enjoyable. But something that I've been working on with my teeth is just like understanding the emotional component of it, because I feel like for me, so much of it is connected to my emotions and all my feelings with the throat chakra, like not feeling like I could share my truth or my stories, or feeling like no one is listening to me. For years I feel like I couldn't even smile, and I don't have like ugly, I don't think my teeth are ugly, they're just jacked up. Like I have a lot of cavities and stuff, and they're very small, and I would always get made fun of for small teeth, and I just had all these like internalized things about my teeth. And I remember doing a photo shoot with my friend Zon when I first opened up my business for the psychic work. And it was physically uncomfortable for me to like smile. And since then, I've been working on releasing so much tension from my jaw, and it's really changed and shifted the way that I smile. So looking back at those pictures, I love them, but I know, like visually, I love the pictures, but I noticed the difference in the shape of my jaw. And all the stuff I do with my skin, like I'm definitely shifting my face a lot with the lymph work and everything. But I have been trying to identify where the emotions meet the physical. And that's so much of my work in general, is helping people identify the emotional root behind issues that they're experiencing in their skin and their body and their life. So yeah, I got off track with that one, but yeah, let's see. Do you see? Oh yeah, we did that one. Someone also wanted to know, in terms of skincare stuff, someone wanted to know gua sha tips, please. And I answered this briefly on socials, but I was saying that this is definitely more appropriate for like a video tutorial. So I'll be happy to create one and post it. But just briefly, like gua sha, I am an esthetician, so I'm trained in utilizing it on the face and the neck. And the techniques that we do are different than if you were to go see like an acupuncturist or a traditional Chinese medicine doctor or someone else, or even an Ayurvedic practitioner that does gua sha on the body. It's going to be very different than receiving it or utilizing the tools yourself on your face. So just keep that in mind. With the body, you're very much working in like the muscles and the structures of the body, and like knots and all the things that are stuck there, the lactic acid and the fascia, and how it's like on top of each other. That's how the knots happen. So you're working in the muscles. You're doing a lot, but that's one of the primary functions. And then it's getting the kind of working into the immune system. So if you're sick or something like that, doing a deep gua sha treatment could help you feel better. You might feel worse, and then you'll feel better, but it's like purging. It's a way of kind of like purging it out, like sweating it out. And the gua sha, like it's basically loosely translated to like scraping of the skin, and the sha is like the redness that comes up. So when you scrape the sha, you're having the blood flow, the circulation rise up. So if you see redness, that's often an indicator that there's like heat trapped in the body. And if you see purple or blue, that's often an indication that it is like cold in the body. And so if you've ever gotten cupping or seen cupping, like the marks that you get from that, similar kind of concept. It's hot and cold that's stuck in certain parts of the body. And then there's a whole emotional component to that too, which is really interesting. In my experience as like a psychic, I see it as the cold, the blue, the purple, that is the indicator of old energy, like something that's been there for a long time, like a chronic injury, a chronic illness, a lifetime thing, an ancestral thing, a past life thing even. And then if it's red, it's hot, that's like, it's right now, it's instantaneous, like what's happening in the moment, what can we like release in this moment. And the same kind of thing with like like our bowel movements, like constipation versus like diarrhea. Like sometimes things move through us too quickly or too slowly. So when we use a tool like gua sha, we're trying to achieve balance in the body. And that's what all these systems like Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, which are just like two of the oldest medicine systems, it's really about balancing the body. And they do it in different ways and they explain it in different ways. And that's what Reiki is about too. So yeah. So as far as doing it on the face and the neck, it's very different because you hold the tool differently. You're working in the muscles a little bit, but you're really wanting to work like in the lymph and the connective tissue. So you're moving the fluid underneath the skin at the same time is releasing tension in the connections between the fibers in the muscle. So it's a little bit different, like in its outcomes, but it's the same tool. And you could use a traditional stone, like a jade stone. There's 3,000 bajillion companies that make them now because they got quite trendy. But I have bought mine from Cecily Braden, who's the person that I did my training with in order to do the facials on people and clients. But she has a bajillion and a half videos. I'll put her links in the show notes. And then I will be glad to do like a little tutorial, and I'll do that in a separate video and show you guys how to hold it and how to use it. And it's pretty simple, but it's also complicated. And there's so much amazing education out there about this subject. I just would suggest finding it from a traditional Chinese practitioner, an acupuncturist, an esthetician, a massage therapist, rather than like an influencer. Because no offense, because I love my influencer girlies. I love them. I live like, give me a suggestion and I'll buy it. But you want someone who knows more about how to use the tool and all those details, because it can be dangerous to do it incorrectly. You're not going to die unless you have some severe medical condition or something. If you have a severe heart condition, you do not want to do like congenital heart failure. If you have had something severe like that, you do not want to do gua sha or lymphatic treatments. If you have a severe bacterial infection, like you're on antibiotics or you're about to get on them, like don't do gua sha at this time. Like it's going to make you feel worse. If you are like have a little bit of a cold, it might speed up the healing process. But if it's something serious like bacterial infection, anything like that, like strep throat, whatever, this is not the time to do it. And then anything to do with like if you're undergoing chemotherapy or something like that, it's not the best time to do a treatment like this. If you would want to go see a practitioner or professional rather than doing it yourself, because you just don't want to, essentially it's like we're moving the lymphatic fluid at the same time that we're doing all this stuff in the muscles and the structures of the face. And with that, if it's connected to our immune system, so it can bring up more, it'll just make you more sick is what I'm saying. So if you're undergoing something like that with the severe medicine, it's probably gonna make you feel nauseous, just not the right time. Like for example, when I did my lymphatic drainage training, because I'm trained in manual lymphatic drainage, which is a whole different technique, but similar benefits, where it's really good for your emotions, your anxiety, as well as the physical body for a variety of benefits. But our teacher, first of all, made us drink 3,000 billion gallons of water, and there was only one tiny little bathroom. It was really funny. We were all peeing the whole time. But what I was going to say, she gave this example in class about someone who came in as like a practice model, and a person taking the class brought a friend to be a model to practice on because there wasn't enough people in the class to practice on. So that her friend comes in, and her friend had just been partying all night and had drunk a bunch of alcohol and stuff, and was hung over, and didn't mention it, to the teacher or anything. So they were working on him doing the lymphatic drainage, and all of a sudden, first of all, you could smell it coming out of his pores, this alcohol. And then he got up and he had to throw up, and he felt really sick and really nauseous because he had that toxic kind of load from the excess of alcohol in his system at the time. And so it kind of just reintroduced it into his system, and it made him feel really sick. So that's just kind of like an example of if you're on something like like a strong medication like that, like a antibiotic, not the best time. But yeah, I will do a video in depth and we can discuss. So we have a few more questions and then we'll go into the readings. I had one more good one. Where did it go? Sorry, y'all. Imagine that there was music or something playing. I can't find the exact question, but it was something along the lines of like, what is the difference between like a medium and a channeler? Like someone's a medium and a channeler. So I think it's just like semantics, but traditionally, and I describe myself as a medium, even though someone else would probably call me a channeler. And I think channelers get a bad rap because there are a lot of fucking weirdos and fakos, but mediums traditionally is more about like connecting with the deceased and loved ones, crossed over loved ones, dead people, ghosts, spirits. Channeling gets a lot more broad than that. Get people who are channeling archangels or channeling, I did that episode where you had a Mother Mary, was it Mary Magdalene or Mother Mary? I can't remember, but we did a channeling with that. Or like, the ET channelers, Bashar, we talked about him on another episode. But how I see the difference, and people might disagree, but how I see the difference is a medium is kind of like relaying the information. They're the space in between. And a channeler is like allowing the energy to come through them and speak for them. Or they are speaking for the entity, the energy that they're channeling. So that might not, there's a couple different kinds of channelers, like a trance channeler is someone where like they go away and the spirit comes forward and they're speaking in a different voice maybe, or things like that. There's one girl that I really like on Instagram, if people want to check out like a channeler that I think is pretty legit. Her name is Brie Melanison. She's a medium and reader, psychic person, but she does channeling as well. And I've gone to one of her channeling events. It was really powerful. But like when she does the channeling, like she's smiling, like her face changes, her body changes, everything changes. And it's like this being is in her body and she's totally enveloped in the energy. And then some people, it's more what they call relay channeling. So same kind of idea as a medium, like the energy is kind of half in and half out. So they're still cognizant and like they're still the one interpreting the information. That's more of what I do. Like I don't usually let the spirits come all the way in. I'm more like I feel them and they're kind of this I just see the image. What's that guy, Two-Face? But not in a scary way. But like it's like they're laid on top of me almost. And I can see through their eyes and hear through their ears and speak through their mouth. But they're not me. I'm still me. That's how I see it. So I think the difference would just be how people identify. But traditionally, I think the difference would be a medium is someone that listens to what the spirit has to say or sees what the spirit is showing and then shares the message. And then the channeler just lets the message flow through them. And then also channeling is so many different things. Like my art, I do these visual channelings where I'm drawing the psychic images that I see. And I think all art could definitely be considered channeling. But when people create music and things like that, or take on these other identities through creating a fiction story or something, like I think that's all different aspects of channeling. Like And we talk about this a lot in like fashion of like, I'm channeling like Edie Sidwig with my look today, or with makeup, like I'm channeling Grace Jones. Like I think it's a word that we throw around a lot, but it is as simple as that. It's just taking on the energy and acting through the energy. Like the energy moves through you. You are the muse. Like you have method acting. You have become it. So that's kind of what I see the difference. Oh yeah, there was one about heaven that was like a good one. Okay, so I have all your readings. So we're about to do those in a second. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm missing a whole thing. What time is it? Okay, we still have time. We still have time. What do you, I can't find it. But the question was like, do you believe in heaven? And I really liked that question. Oh, here it is. Oh, and my favorite sunscreens. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. La 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 la. I really don't know where the questions went. Okay. So I don't know where it is, but the question was like, do you believe in heaven? And I just wanted to share some of my perspectives on that because I think that's a juicy question. But I would say yes, but also no, but also yes, but also no, but also yes. I believe in some kind of afterlife. And I think that has been proven to me through my experiences with mediumship and connecting with spirits and entities and energies. And I've also developed an understanding of multidimensionality that makes it kind of hard to encapsulate my whole understanding of it quite yet. And what I mean by that is when I see things like do readings in the Akashic records, or we're looking at past lives, or we're looking at our future self, like it's kind of confusing to think about an afterlife because everything is almost existing all at once, but just on different planes of existence. In Reiki, we call these the different heavens. Um, I think there's 13 or something in Holy Fire Reiki, but these are just like realms to me, is how I see it, or planes of existence. And I think there is a different realm, a different place, the oneness, where everything is peace, everything is love, everything is existing in that state of heaven, of nothing to do, nothing to see, nothing to be. But I think that's quite boring. I don't think that's the way we think of it, at least in like the Christian perspective, which I think a lot of just like books and movies and shows and like entertainment is based upon, of just like this pearly gates in the sky and there's like parties going on. We're gonna hang out with Prince or whatever. But it's like where when I do connect to these spirits, like they are somewhere, but they're also nowhere. So I think it's kind of hard to fully understand yet. But I do believe there is a place where our souls come from, originate, source, God, whatever that word is that you would describe it. And that's heaven. because that's like the enlightenment, like where we could go back to the consciousness of all knowing. Did I confuse you? That's what I believe. I do believe there is, but it's not really what. It's not like a room. But we can all experience our own inner divine heavens, cosmic realms of sacred, like peace, I don't know, freedom inside our body, inside our brain, inside our brain. And everything happens through the brain, so it gets even more confusing to think about. Yeah. I was going to go on a whole thing about like simulations and stuff, but that I think will get more confusing. But like when people say simulation theory, I think we think of like AIs and robots and like some weird like bro like creating us in his mom's basement and like the Truman Show and stuff. But to me, like I don't identify with that theory, but I do believe that our experience is created through the pathways in our brain, and how we see and experience life happens through our brain. And I don't think that's very far off from how science would explain how we see and feel and know and experience life. So the brain is a computer, the brain is a heart, I don't know. We are in heaven, we are already here, we're already in hell. I don't know. I don't really believe in hell, but I do believe in duality. And that's what we're existing in right now. So heaven, there is no duality, there is no fight, there is none of that. But that's also like why we're here, is to experience duality. At least one part of it. I'm sure there's many reasons that I don't understand, nor do I need to. Yeah. So that's my perspective. And yeah, so I did some screenshots on Instagram for this question, but so if people want to look in my podcast like highlights, they can find the pictures if you are like this invested. But do you have a favorite sunscreen? I hate wearing it. I do have a favorite sunscreen, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I hope the sunscreens that I can recommend to you will change your mind. First one, all-time favorite. Sadly, it's sold out right now. They discontinued it, reformulated it. It's back. I haven't tried it yet because it's sold out. I'm very sad. All-time favorite. CosRX. They're Korean. Aloe Soothing Sun Cream. Second favorite right now is Cocoa Kind. They sell this shit at like Target, Whole Foods. They're made in San Francisco. Daily SPF. Really like it. If you're a fancy girl, professional products, this is my favorite. Image Skincare. Prevention Plus, SPF 50. Girl, she's my favorite. If you're gonna buy professional skincare products, if you guys don't already know this, you gotta buy it from like an esthetician, a spa, the website. Like you can't just buy it on Amazon because it's probably fake. Then this is Eminence. This is a brand I use at work. I am not a fan of their sunscreens, but they have a sunscreen that's a powder, and this is my ministry. I love this shit. It's a powder sunscreen. It's called Sun Defense Minerals. I get the translucent one because it doesn't have color, but they do have color. They do not have a good shade range. If you have dark skin, get the translucent. They need to up their shade range. But yeah, that's my favorite. So yeah, that's the sunscreen. That's the sunscreen. I think that's all your questions. Do you believe in heaven? Do you see spirits? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Gosh. Okay. I think we got all the questions. I do have like a ton of questions from you guys, but they're in a whole different folder. So I think that's enough for now. From like